He slices open an orange and prepares to celebrate the exciting race when suddenly an unidentified object flies through the sky. It resembled a shooting star and slowly descended towards the earth. At that moment, a nearby radio started making noise and a dog started barking at the sky incessantly. Everyone present stood still, their eyes gradually becoming serious. Just as they were staring at it without blinking, a rumbling sound echoed in their ears, unsettling Lee Abbott. It wasn't long before he slowly stood up and contemplated the situation for a few moments, and in his confusion, he called out to his deaf daughter and hurriedly dragged her away. At this point, everyone finally reacted and the thrilling game came to an abrupt end. The two walked down the street and just as they were about to head home, sirens sounded behind them. Lee Abbott went up to ask for news, but when the police turned around, he didn't hesitate to quickly get back into his car and start the engine. However, it wasn't long before countless monsters fell from the sky and continued to attack the humans. Seeing that there were more and more monsters, Lee Abbott chose to abandon the car. In a panic, he hurriedly took his daughter to hide in a restaurant. An old man under the table kept praying, and his fear almost made him cry. Seeing this scene, Lee Abbott hurriedly covered the old man's mouth. Immediately afterward, a monstrous figure hovered outside the window. Everyone in the room shivered as if they might become the monster's lunch at any moment. Unexpectedly, the cell phone on the side suddenly rang, and when the monster heard the sound, it quickly pierced through the glass and jumped directly into the house, launching an attack on the source of the sound. Seeing this, the father and daughter quickly escaped through the back door. However, unexpectedly, the monster did not intend to let them go. Quickly, the two escaped onto the main street. At a critical moment, a police officer suddenly appeared, raising his gun without hesitation at the monster. But in the next second, Bo Abbott walked up to his father holding a toy. Unexpectedly, the whole family showed expressions of terror. Subsequently, the father cautiously took the toy, slowly removed the batteries, as if afraid to make any noise. Upon seeing this, Bo Abbott displayed an unhappy expression. At this moment, the mother approached to console him, explaining that the toy made too much noise and could bring danger to them. The family gathered their necessary items and left slowly, but just then, out of concern for her brother, the sister secretly stuffed the toy back into his hands and told him not to make a sound. After the sister left, a smile finally appeared on the brother's face. However, unexpectedly, Bo Abbott suddenly picked up the batteries from the table, unaware that this action would lead to a disaster. This is a city overrun by monsters that come from outer space, covered in an armor-like shell that is almost impenetrable, and possessing astonishing speed. The hard shell allows them to tear through metal with their bare hands, relying on extremely sharp ears to track their prey. In this post-apocalyptic wasteland, humans have learned a different way of life, one where they make no sound. The family ventures out to find essentials, and in order to communicate silently, they have learned to use sign language to avoid making any noise. They pave their paths with sand and even take off their shoes. The entire world has almost completely fallen. Numerous once thriving cities now deserted. Some people have even sought refuge underground for survival. Soon the family returned, crossing an iron bridge. The couple walked ahead with solemn expressions, as if their only reason for living was these children. Suddenly, there was a sound of a toy behind them. Reagan Abbott turned his head to see that the sound had come from a toy in Bo Abbott's hand. Without hesitation, Lee Abbott rushed towards him, risking his life to try and stop his dangerous actions. But just then, a monster was attracted to the sound and approached. Lee Abbott seems to be in a race against time, but is ultimately one step too late. Next thing you know, Silent Land is playing again. On the 472nd day of the city's collapse, Lee Abbott's wife is 6 months pregnant. To escape the monster, Lee Abbott continues to spread sand on the roads and install surveillance around the house. Every day, he sat in front of the radio, trying to make contact with the outside world. But day after day, there was never any response from the other end of the radio. To prevent the baby from crying after birth, Evelyn Abbott improvised a respirator and prepared a soundproof box. Even the wind chimes for the baby were turned into sponges. At dinner, the whole family lights candles, uses leaves as plates, and then holds hands and prays that the end of the world will pass quickly. After a while, the two children played quietly, when suddenly the younger brother accidentally knocked over a kerosene lamp. The father, hearing the noise, rushed over and quickly covered the fire with a blanket. In spite of great care, the monster's attention was attracted. Just then, a loud noise came from the roof. The father immediately felt anxious. When he approached the window to check, he realized it was just two small animals. The family was finally relieved, but the very next second the two cuties were about to leave. Lee Abbott spread sand on the doorway to minimize the sound of walking. He then said goodbye to his wife and took his son out in search of food, but the son was timid and refused to go along. On the other hand, the deaf daughter was very eager to go out for an adventure but was ruthlessly rejected by her father. She has to stay home to take care of her pregnant mother. In a fit of anger, Reagan Abbott pushes her father away and returns home to pack her things and decides to leave. She believed that her father had been blaming her for her brother's death, thinking that if she hadn't secretly handed the toy to her brother, the monsters wouldn't have been attracted. But matters had come to this point, and over the course of the year, her heart was filled with self-blame and guilt. Soon, father and son arrived at the riverbank. When Lee Abbott made a noise while catching fish, his son immediately turned around, ready to escape. Lee quickly grabbed his son, using sign language to reassure him that it wouldn't attract the monsters. The son was too afraid, haunted by the shadow of his departed brother. The trauma lingered in his mind, making him gradually become timid and weak.